Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Oh, that's quite energetic. Once more, good morning. All right. I am so privileged and honored to be sitting here with two entrepreneurs who've got amazing stories to share. And before we walked in here, I had a chance to have a quick chat. And my first thought was 30 minutes is not going to be enough to bring out all the elements that's there. I'm going to try and bring out some of the most interesting aspects. So our MC talked about superbugs and they talked about problems in India. They talked about visual analytics. Are these familiar words to all of you? Yeah. Everybody's heard of superbugs. It's like the Superman. We all want them. Okay, no, we don't. And we have Anand who will talk about BugWorks, which is ensuring that whether we want them or not, superbugs might still come in, but how do we fight with superbugs as Superman? And Jayant, when we say all eyes on the road, how many of you follow that in Bangalore? Half the time I see people are looking at their mobile phones because you're standing still. And he's found a great way to leverage. That's one of the things I know, Jayant. So I would invite both of you to talk a little bit about what you do. Anand, why don't we start with you?
Thank you, Madhurima. Good morning, everyone. Pleasure to be here in Nasscom and to bring a deep science company into this conference is a great idea, and thank you for that. So, should I just speak about my journey and then come to BugWorks?
Just talk about BugWorks first, and then we'll bring out your journey.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, all of you know what an invisible enemy like COVID did to the world, right? Everybody knows. So, superbugs are bacteria, viruses, and fungi that cannot be treated with today's solutions. Basically, I focus on bacteria, and we are trying to come out with a completely new antibiotic, the first of its kind since 1965 or 1966. So it's a 60-year problem, and from India we are trying to invent a completely new broad-spectrum antibiotic to help with pneumonia, serious bloodstream infections, infections that kill babies, etc., etc. And why is this so relevant now, even more relevant now after COVID, is that this is a tough space. Since the time Alexander Fleming found penicillin 100 years ago, there's been only 6 or 7 classes of antibiotics. Bacteria are so smart. They're constantly evolving. So it's a catch me if you can principle. And they've had billions of years of evolution ahead of us. So that evolutionary intelligence that organism has is so much more than what humans have. So to find new drugs that are capable of taking out bugs that infect you from brain to toe, with pneumonia being the worst, hospital pneumonia ventilator, is what we do. Just to give you guys a sad statistics, India loses 4 to 5 lakh people every year. Every year. 100 here, 200 here, 300 here in hospitals all over the country. It's not a pandemic that you saw like COVID and to go away. It's a silent pandemic. Slow boil, slow cooking, slow boil. Out of these 400,000 deaths, 100,000 are children and neonates. They just die in district hospitals when they're born. So if you're very young or old with immune issues, immune compromise, bugs take over and there is no solution for it. So we cannot wait for the West to solve our problems. This is a global problem, requires global solutions. So companies from India are trying to find solutions because the worst bugs are in our backyard. So convert something that looks like an adverse situation into your advantage. Use science and technology to fight the worst bugs in my background to find solutions for the world from here. These solutions have to be affordable and accessible. I am not interested in AI to solve problems for the top 300 to 400 million people in the world. There are 8.3 billion people on the planet. Our solutions have to be affordable, accessible, and relevant to 8 billion people. We are hoping, wish us success, because success chance in what we do is 5%. It's really tough. It's a 15-year journey, 5% chance of success. I hope we succeed and are able to give back to the world. Thank you.
That's a great point, Anand, and I am going to come back to you to hear about this journey. How do you make it for 15 years? But for now, Jayant, just tell us a little bit about Nayan.
Good. First of all, it's a privilege to be sitting next to Anand. We had a brief chat about everything that you've done, and me and my wife are super skeptical of all the super conspiracies for all the super bugs that are invading all our lives. So I have a huge session to have with him after this conference also. So myself, I'm Jayant. I'm the CEO and founder for Nayan. Nayan means the eyes, and I think it resounds with pretty much everybody here. If you're living in Bangalore, raise your hands. How many are living in Bangalore? All right, perfect. So what if I could make your life and your ride all the way till work and while you're stuck in traffic and getting to the conference enjoyable and put some money, rupees in your pocket for all the time that you waste throughout the entire journey? Would you like that little reward for sitting in traffic?
Wow, awesome. What an idea. What an idea.
So yes. So the answer is yes, you can do this. It's already live. There are about 20 cities that we are solving exactly with the same tech. Your smartphone in your pocket, go online, download an app called Nayan, leave it on your dashboard while you're idling in traffic, hands off. So don't be texting, don't be talking. Leave it on the phone, on the dashboard, and drive. As you drive, we collect actionable intelligence on the road. What do we collect? Potholes on the road. The guy cutting you off in traffic in front of you on the road. The guy jumping a red light in front of you on the road. The cow blocking the road, the garbage on the streets, the municipal worker not cleaning, the electrical lines not working, all the spaces which are congested, all the bus stops which are not open, illegally parking in front of the bus stops, everything visibly irritating for you is being captured by the application, 90% of it on your smartphone as an edge-based AI. So that is our application, that was our dream. And this was, the journey began with me back in the US, so this is my third company. In fact, I was India's first drone manufacturer back in 2005, getting an award from Abdul Kalam sir. A huge award, $500,000 from the Defense Department. Thank you. Shortly thereafter, the tables turned and the bureaucracy hit. So the money never came, but the tech output was expected. So I finally took a chance and went to the US, and I graduated Georgia Tech with my PhD in robotics and AI and master's in electrical. I could not wait. I had to solve something. I did, so I got back on the road. So I became partners with defense departments, DARPA, US Air Force, and I solved some of the best AI-based, computer vision-based solutions. Cameras, under-barrel weapons, small bugs. We made electronic small bugs that flew and took videos while it's flying. So very innovative stuff, extremely expensive stuff, and we had funding off the charts, massive, which we never thought we'd get in India. All of that, I left at the end because I saw what India was suffering. The plight of our daily lives, the suicides, unfortunately, of all the farmers back then, and a lot of issues in the city, the corruption and the pilferage and so many issues. I just had to get back on the road again. It was not enough. So I literally got back on the road. I became an Uber driver in 2016. And I designed a tech which I knew could supply income to all the underprivileged of the country and ancillarily support all the women in all the villages who are not making an income. So these two puzzles I had to solve, city problems and marry them all to villages and the underprivileged people. So Nayan does both. So the AI in your pockets that is collecting traffic violations and sending it is being verified by Grameen women. Only women, 90% of all Nayan's workforce are women sitting in different gaons. They validate the final output. Is this a cow or a dog? The AI will detect and it'll send out a confirmation. Is this a traffic violation? Is this light red? Is this light green? Is this pole fast speed or something? And this validation network improves our AI, and the whole thing runs in a cycle loop, and the problem statements keep adding into this churning box to solve all these complex problems. Over the time, we have now done about 70 patents on the tech, the highest portfolio of patents, and we are rivaling US technologies and hopefully we'll get a chance to do more.
So
Yes.
inspiring, Jayant. And you know that's such a stark example of AI is not just for the educated, for the elite, for the people who sit in these cubicles and keep working, but AI is something that even the women sitting at home, rural women, are contributing to. So that, and I think that's just the power of India. One thing I discovered in my conversation with Anand and Jayant is that both of them are from India, went to the US, did startups there, worked there, learned, and they've come back to solve for India's challenges. And Anand, you're a serial entrepreneur. I think you've done 5 startups, right? Tell us a little bit about your journey.
Thanks very much. So, I started my life as a semiconductor physicist. I used to design computer chips in the US, in the Bay Area, and I got a great opportunity to come to India in 2000 as an expat to start a computer chip design company. So I thought I'd be here for 2 years or working in India, just enjoy the India life, go back. Then when we came here, IT industry was booming, right? .com had happened. And we took basically you take decisions in life with very little data. So we took the decision that we'll stay on here, and I was very fortunate to become the founder of the India's Semiconductor Association, India Electronic Semiconductor Association, right? And then we did the semiconductor startups. And in the peak of my career, when I thought I had conquered it all, I nearly died. Not once, not twice, but 3 times, right? I survived cancer twice. I say this not to make any brownie points, but I'm a good example of taking something that's an adversity in your life and completely changing your life. And say, if I survived thrice, I was meant to do something much bigger than just working for an MNC. Nothing wrong with working for an MNC. I'm just saying that I want to do something bigger. How did I conquer cancer? I started a cancer company called Cellworks, right? And Cellworks got funded by Sequoia, Artimen, etc., where we use computer chip design models to simulate cancer. Imagine that the oncologist opens the platform, takes the genomic sample of the patient, puts it in here, and thousands of simulations are run, and in 20 minutes, that breast cancer patient who's dying because the standard of care will not work for her, you can find out which is the alternate medicine that would work for her, right? So this is personalized therapy. While I was in Cellworks, Madhurima, I saw the writing on the wall. Babies are dying. Hundreds of thousands of people are dying in our country. None of the antibiotics are working. Hospital-acquired infections are going up. So we started thinking about pandemics. Never thought about COVID, but thought about the day-to-day pandemics that impact our babies, our adults, our diabetic patients, our oncology patients. None of the big pharmaceutical companies was interested in working in antibiotics because the science is hard and there is no money compared to working in blood pressure or diabetes. Once you get a patient, you get them for life. So we took an audacious decision of saying, can India invent the first new antibiotic since 1960s? So it went from semiconductor to my own health challenges that got me into oncology, and from oncology we spun this out, right? What keeps us humbled, what keeps us truly humbled is the success rate when you work on deep science is, as I said, only 5 to 6%. And each of these startups require at least 10 years. And there are so many landmines waiting to burst on your face, including regulatory problems, including clinical trial issues, including the fact that not a single investor in India would want to invest in deep science with patient capital. So it takes craziness, it takes passion, and takes thinking that is way beyond the individual to drive and fuel such a thought process.
There are so many learnings I just got from this, Anand. I cannot even describe that. How many of you are entrepreneurs in this room? So you know how tough it is to keep going, and in an area like deep science where 10 to 15 years is the gestation period. And yesterday we had, so Anand, the good news is yesterday we had some investors here on stage who are ready to fund this, who understand the gestation period, who bring that patient capital to India. So that's there. Talking about India and its challenges, Jayant, you work with the government a lot, right? The kind of offerings you have. And we've always heard that working with the government is a big challenge. What are your thoughts? What's your experience? And how do you overcome these challenges?
It's hard to put it officially, but it is definitely a challenge. It's not easy. Part of my luck and part of my life is half my family on both my parents' side have been in the military. So I'm used to working with the governments for a while, used to listening to what they want. But at the end of the day, we have to realize the people in charge of our lives, our well-being, our safety, our defense are all people in the government. No matter who they are, we elected them, and they came down upon us after our wishful thinking. So we have to work with them. The challenges are there. There are many things we've heard about the government there's a lot of undertabling, there's a lot of bribing, there's a lot, things that are not working, startups are not funded, the big guys are funded. It's all true. I cannot deny it. It happens. However, you have to realize that the ecosystem is getting better. So the people who are still thinking on the ancient lines of doing something that benefits one or a small locality are shrinking. So when you sit with them and you talk to them, the inherent desire to be the best, after all the success we've achieved in the last 10 years, they are getting motivated to do better. They want to do something better. So if any of the companies are getting government contracts, you will see that they want to do something with the companies. They want to innovate. The challenge remains, though, still in innovation. The mentality right now is still market it heavy, price it low, and we will take your product as a consumer. This is India. What is the other side of the story? And back in the US and all the success that we achieved, and even Anand as well, you innovate like crazy, you become the best in the world, you deliver the most amazing solution, price no bar, we'll come to it later. But right now, innovate and make something awesome. That doesn't work in India. It's a completely different paradigm shift. So you have to make it marketable. Marketing is very important for every industry, especially with the government. They're everyone marketing. So I would say I have two sides to the story. Government is the way for all of us. We cannot escape it. How do we work with them and how do we show them new age stuff that's beating the heck out of everything they have imported? How do we grow something that is going back to the West and they can absorb it right now, like all our pharmaceuticals? So it is a way, it takes time, it takes incubation, but it works.
So what I hear is there is an added dimension that you need to bring to your innovative solutions in India for it to really become commercially viable and get your customers to use it, right? Just generalizing that. And I'm just going to say that I think we all have the problems with the government. You made a great point, but we elect them. And what I have seen is that there's a mindset shift that's happening. Yesterday we had the public officials here who had a session with the startups, and I'm sure you were part of that and you would have seen the interest that is there. So with India, its unique problems, that is there, the 1.4 billion population, it's tough. India is the population is one of our biggest challenges and one of our biggest strengths, because that is what makes India a great market to start in. And Anand, you mentioned, right, these problems are sitting in our backyard in terms of superbugs and all. And you talked about patient capital. I want to ask you, as an entrepreneur, with all these challenges that we've heard about, with all the gestation period, with the lack of ecosystem support at the level which you would really desire it, how do you still keep going?
Yeah, lots and lots of patience. I just want to add on to one point he said, and I'll come to this, right? He spoke about affordable innovation, right? Affordable innovation doesn't mean cheap innovation. It's second to none. I just want to once again say all the innovations he's talking about, and we are doing too, the innovations coming out of biotech and IT are second to none. We're just trying to price it affordably so a larger portion of the market can avail and have access to it. So to your question, just in biotechnology industry, by the way, in India, just to give a background, it's still esoteric. It's about $80 billion and it's supposed to reach about $150 billion in 2030. So we're moving up the value chain. To do a drug discovery, the area I'm working in, takes about 10 to 15 years, about $500 million, that's 500 million, with a success rate of around 5 to 7%, right? So any chance for pride is quashed just because of the innate mechanics. So you need to have a passion and you need to have plans, Madhurima, as you move forward to keep your investor network engaged for the 10-year plus period. You depend on government grants. The Indian government has done an excellent job. Department of Biotechnology is one of the best groups to work, where they've seeded many companies at the bottom level, right? We have done a good job at the base level. We don't do a good job in funding deeply, but we do a good job in funding broadly. The infrastructure cost of capital of biotech has been almost removed for companies like mine. We sit in incubators close to here called C-Camp, built by the government of Karnataka and the central government, DBT, that has given us incubators to sit where plant and machinery is provided. We only do the intellectual work and then pay for reagents, etc. You have to have a global outlook in your team. There is no way, as nationalists as we want to sound, to say that I'm solving India's problem sitting from India. No chance. It needs to have a global outlook. So we already have operations in many countries. We are connecting with grants from United States, UK. We are basically global beggars. You go with a begging bowl and with sincerity, and you're just actually trying to tap into funding pools everywhere in the universe. So 30% of our funding has come through grants from Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, from NIH, from Carbex, from BARDA, Department of Defense. We work on bioterrorism solutions with Department of Defense, US. So you have to play to your strengths. India's strength is not funding deep science, but India's strength is good infrastructure coming up in these government labs. $1 or £1 can stretch a lot, right? The worst superbugs are in my backyard, so use that advantage. United States offers the best grant mechanisms. Go there. Australia offers the best environment to do clinical trials because, you know, it's cheap, it's outstanding, and the data is directly applicable with the United States FDA. The world becomes thy stage. To do a deep science and deep tech, you need a global outlook. You need people in your team who are dispassionate about the science, but don't mind begging, going around the world to all of these pools, grant pools. I'm not a CEO, I'm a CBO, Chief Begging Officer. And anybody who's in biotech will know that. And if you have pride that you're not going to beg, don't do deep science and deep tech. Because these problems are tough. They're 10 to 15 years, but you're going to change the life of billions of people. And it's that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow that you know that what you're going to do is going to feed billions of people or save billions of people or going to make the environment better for billions of people. Keeps you going with burning passion. And when your investor group sees that passion and they know that what you're going after is much bigger than the sum of the individuals who are driving that mania, there are some impact investors who are willing to bet us. Family offices in India now, Madhurima, are changing. The younger guys and younger girls who are in the family office of billionaires are saying, I want to put my signature on a company that's going to change the world, not just something that's selling something cheaply on the internet. Changes are happening, it's slow, but I'm positive.
I love that, change the world. Jayant, your thoughts. What keeps you going?
So it's a mixed bag of thoughts. You know, what keeps me going changes by the day, and I think it's part of an entrepreneur's life. What keeps you going for the day? Oh, you're going to win an award. Okay, let's look forward to it. What's going to change? The investors are going to be happy next week. The results are going to be out. Very good. The customers are going to write you a check. Oh, wonderful. So it's the anticipation of something at the end of the tunnel, which never really comes, or it comes, but there's always something next. The entrepreneur's life is a mixed bag of expectations, hopes. But through all of it, like Anand said, you have to persist. Like the pains are indefinite. The chief begging officer, I am as well. So grants where you can get grants, award monies where you can get award monies, patient capital from investors, angels, networks, anyone with a patient capital interest, grab them. The hardest thing I've seen on my cap table are people who just want financial numbers out of a deep tech company that has 100 patents in the making, world's best. They want immediate, quick returns. It's the biggest mistake an entrepreneur can do, but we are lousy, we need the money, so we are desperate. So it's not always our fault. What keeps me going more often than this is I have lived in every country. I grew up in Africa for 8 years, in Libya for all the countries. In the US, 11 years, started 2 companies in the US, worked for the Defense Department, came back to India, moved to Dubai for 3 years, and I keep coming back to India and I keep comparing India and the US, India and the West. You feel deplorable when you come back to the country, and you feel great when you go back to the US or Dubai. And you come back again and you see the difference. It really hurts. It really hurts. You should see how different the societies are, how clean the difference is, cleanliness, diseases, lethargy, accidents, traffic, pollution, you name it. It's all there, corruption. So there's a difference, and you just want to get it fixed. So at the end of the day, you sleep knowing that what you're doing is going to help change it for our children, my own little baby boy now, 4 months old. So, and all the kids and all the new generation. So you have this vision to get it moving in the right direction. Yes.
Awesome. So before I ask my last question, how many in the audience are employees today of other organizations? How many of you want to do something on your own? Right. So my question is both Anand to you and Jayant. How did you start on this? You know, everybody has a steady life, a steady paycheck coming in, and with all the challenges, what keeps you going? You shared, but what got you into this? What was that moment?
For me, the moment, Madhurima, I'm sorry, it's very personal, because my father attended on the first HIV/AIDS patient in this country. He's a very famous doctor. He passed away in 1984, right? Nobody was touching or going near the first HIV patient. She was a sex worker from Madurai who picked it up from a British Airways steward. We pick up lots of bad things from the UK. This was one of it as well. And nobody would go near this patient, and my dad was this. So subconsciously, I always wanted to do something for humanity. So my father's my hero. I don't need Mark Zuckerberg, all right? So the hero came from within the house. And as I went through life, as I told you, my health challenges, you know, we convert an adversity into something that's really positive, etc. I think you have to want to do something big to change India. India is a great place to find problems because it's everywhere around you. Whether it's in agriculture, environment, information technology, anything, right? Healthcare, etc. Choose a big problem and you are not alone. It is not like when we started or Anu started her company 10, 15 years ago, right? There are enough incubators and accelerators in the country that focus on deep tech, deep science, including C Camp, close to here, BBC in electronics. Go meet people there. Meet people who have been burnt like me, who have made a lot of mistakes like me. There's a lot of collision mentoring happening today that did not happen 10 years ago. You're not alone. Dream big. We can do it from India, but think global, act global. If you think only India and act India alone, you can't make a business in deep science.
Jayant, how did you start?
So same I guess expressions as Anand. The realization of why you want to be doing what you want to be doing comes from a lot of the efforts that we are putting in through our daily efforts. For me personally, I would imagine there are two incidents in my life which changed my life entirely. One, I lost my best friend. We were to the hip. So one night we went home. Next morning, it was in the newspaper. He was crushed right a few yards away from my house. I think a truck drunk and he crushed the car. So that I was in the US and I did not start my company yet, but that was in my mind and it hit me hard. So I had to resign and start something of my own. The other incident which happened is actually not fatal, but at least I saw my parents, my father, my mother, pushing their envelope of life and effort, moving to Dubai, moving to Libya, pushing and working hard like crazy, hours. And I really feel the earnestness of the effort that we all put in as commoners every day, and we try to make this life work. So for me, it hurts me to see that after all this work, there are still envelopes and pockets of issues in our country which are absorbing all this effort and is going nowhere. So I wanted to fix them. If you look at the statistics, Bangalore every year is losing $1 billion in fuel in idling traffic. Can you imagine the number? And how many startups you can fuel in innovation just by saving that amount in idling traffic? That's just one of the tiny things in this whole city, $1 billion. It's staggering. When you keep thinking about it, that's my motivation. That's why I became an Uber driver, left my high-paying job, and I went on the street, slept in my car, drank and ate, and took a break at the McDonald's. And I think that's common to all us entrepreneurs.
I have so many questions, but the timer says time's up. So I'm going to wrap this up session, and I cannot stress how energized I am, how inspired I am by hearing both your stories. You're solving for India, you're solving for the world with extremely limited resources. Challenges are there, but I love that spirit. And what really touched me is how you started on this journey. There was a personal moment. There's something that's happening around you, and it can happen to all of us. We all are equipped today, and as Anand said, we are not alone. We have incubators, we have the ecosystem. We have a long way to go, and we can do fantastic as India. So thank you so much for your time. If I can just have like a 30-second advice that you would give to people in this room, and we'll start with you, Jayant.
So I don't know what advice to give. All I can say is the journey will not end. You better enjoy what you do. I think in a single line, I would say, enjoy what you do. Do it for the enjoyment and the pleasure of the returns. You will get hit by investors, customers, government, many things, life, family, but just enjoy that little tiny thing that you used to receive when you made your first kite, or you made your first ship, or you made your first toy, you made your first product, you made your first software. That excitement is the only thing that keeps us moving. That excitement should not wither away. So keep that last hope in that last thing you enjoy always with you. That's your friend for life.
Perfect. Very little to add on to what he said. IT is not information technology anymore. It's impact technology. So whatever we do, please look at impact. Startup for the sake of startup is the most boring and passe thought process. Please think impact. You know, we are the 5th largest GDP, yet we are one of the worst countries in the world for health, for environment, for agro, for per capita. We have a huge challenge ahead of us. May all of your startups and all of your ecosystems pull hundreds of millions of people up. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's give it up for Anand and Jayant. Thank you so much.